So fishing is notoriously painful. In particular, early game fishing when you've got to work your way through the levels in order to get to 24 to use better gear, and then once again to get to 27 to be able to lava fish. Now the introduction of the fishing outpost and of course the Bayou, massively helped the XP situation. Not only did it make early game fishing less boring considering there's more sea creatures to fish up and kill, but also those new sea creatures have the potential to give more XP when you kill them. Now I've been playing a lot on my Iron Man profile recently, and without trying to spoil the next Iron Man video completely, I have been getting into fishing because I'm well aware that when Marina comes around, I want to be able to catch great white sharks. But here's the thing, getting from fishing 0 to fishing 20 is fine because it doesn't require that much XP. Getting from 20 to 27 is painful because it's painfully, incredibly slow. Even with the Bayou, it's still slow. It makes it less boring, but it's still slow. Because the reality is, the big mobs like the Titan Boa and also the Tiki-Wiki are incredibly hard to spawn. I mean, I can't even spawn the Tiki-Wikis yet. Which in the end still makes it relatively boring, and also it's relatively active because it's hotspot fishing. You've got to be standing in the hotspots, you've got to be paying attention. Sure, you can switch off when you're in the hotspot, but, it's boring. It just is boring, and you have to be relatively active. With time ticking by, I thought surely there's got to be something that I'm missing in terms of my setup, which I don't believe there was. Maybe there is something missing, if you're not Iron Man, but with being Iron Man, it just made everything more difficult to get. But from my perspective, it's tried and tested, and there's definitely a quicker way to get from fishing 20 to 27, and that's what I'm going to show you today. It's no secret, but I just thought it'd be interesting to show people, considering I feel like most people struggle to get to fishing 27. And then once you get to 27 and you can lava fish, it goes quicker. Wait, you think we're not going to be lava fishing? Well, let's see what this is all about. But before we go any further, if you are planning on purchasing anything from the Hypixel store, make sure to use code NITROS, it gets yourself 5% off. If you watch the videos and you haven't subscribed, please make sure to do so. You should join the Discord server, it's linked in the description of this video. We offer slayers and dungeon carries, so if you need carries or want to carry and make some coins, make sure to join. Okay, well, for whatever reason, this method takes us to Galatea, a foraging and hunting island. But for whatever reason, it's really good for early game fishing. And not even fishing in water. I'm talking about fishing in lava. And you might be thinking, I thought you couldn't lava fish until you got to fishing 27. Well, that's true, because a lot of the lava sea creatures in the Crimson Isles, you can't actually spawn them in until you get to fishing 27. But it turns out here in the Bayou, you can still fish one particular mob up before you get to any sort of fishing requisite. You can get yourself a basic starter lava rod from Odger in the Crystal Halls. No. In the Crimson Isles, and you can use this. Now, there's a hut at the back of the Galatea Island. The NPC Sawyer is here, and this is where you can buy the Foraging Fortune booster. So I'm sure most of you, if you've been to this island, will be aware of this little hut. Now, the great thing about this is there's lava, okay? And you might be thinking, this just seems silly, but it's not. Trust me. I'm going to demonstrate what we're going to do. We're going to go through our setup, and then we're going to put it up against Bayou fishing. Okay, so our sea creature chance isn't great, so we didn't actually get a sea creature. Anyway, here we go. Do we get a sea creature? No. Okay, this is just trolling me at this point. Alright, third time's the charm. Oh my god, okay, well this is unlucky. Maybe it would help if I put my fishing armor on. Okay, maybe this is the one. Here we go. So, as you can see, we fished up a Strider Surfer. Now, what's great about this spot is these Strider Surfers can't get out of this little enclosed area until we aggro them. So right here, they can teleport around. You can fish up, I think you can fish up to 30 on Galatea. That's what cap is. So you can fish up a ton of these Striders. You don't need to kill them after every single one, as I'll show you later. But you'll need to use an axe to kill them because they don't take damage from any other weapon other than an axe, which is actually nice. It means you can continue to fish straight through them and they don't get hit, which is important because you'll see as soon as I hit this guy, he can teleport out and hit you. But if you don't hit him, he'll be stuck in there. Now, each one of these Strider Surfers drops 800 fishing XP. I say drops, but gives you 800 fishing XP. And of course, with multipliers, this can be increased. And that's pretty much it. Okay, this is way less effort than being in the Bayou, because you just have to stand in one spot, and then every 30 that you fish up, you just go ahead and whack them with an axe. It's pretty simple. They don't really do much damage to you, so it's hard to die. And also, they don't have much health, so even me with 10k damage with my Big Stone Splitter can kill them in 2 hits. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the setup that I have, although I'm not going to go into massive detail, considering I don't really think it's needed. It's just more showing you, basically, that this can be really good for XP. Like I said, you can use this starter lava rod. Go to Odger in the Crimson Isles. He'll give you this for free. And then upgrade it. You don't have to upgrade it that much. Unironically, the only gemstone we had laying around was a perfect, so I have a perfect in it, although you don't need a perfect. I'm using Diver's Armor. I'm aware I am fishing 24, but I'm still waiting for one of my co-op members to get on and put the Shark Scale Armor in the chest, so I'm still rocking this at the moment. The reason why I'm wearing Diver's Armor and not something like Sponge is because the base buffs that this Diver Armor gives is the same as Sponge. 2 Sea Creature chance. And for us, it was just way easier to get a Diver set than another Sponge set. Not an Iron Man, you know, use Sponge if you want. And even if you're lower, even if you can't use Sponge, you know, just go with whatever you've got. But that's just kind of why I'm using this Diver set. We've got some Snowy Finwave equipment, which is actually really nice. And then I've got a Prismarine Necklace. So it's a bit of a jank setup, I can't lie. Now, when it comes to pets, I feel like, you know, this is pretty important. You need an auto pet rule setup, really, to get the most out of it, especially when you're trying to level your fishing, because a squid pet is great. A squid pet is amazing for gaining fishing XP, as quite simply, it gives you fishing wisdom. At level 100, it's going to give you plus 100 fishing wisdom, which is going to make you gain XP much quicker. At the same time, this doesn't really do much for you in terms of buffing your fishing stats, which is why I've also got an Ammonite, which is obviously going to give me some good fishing stats, a massive amount of sea creature chance. Now, this auto pet rule is set up so that when I cast my rod, my Ammonite equips. So when I'm actually fishing and waiting in between and getting sea creatures, you know, the time when the sea creature chance and fishing speed is actually useful, we'll be using our Ammonite pet. And then as soon as we gain fishing XP, our squid pet equips, so we get the wisdom buff. Now, you don't have to use an Ammonite, you can replace this, but when you're trying to level up, this is pretty important that you have your squid pet on, that when you gain fishing XP, your squid equips. If you don't have auto pet rules, you can head over to the hub, you can go to Elizabeth, you can go to the bit shop, and auto pet rules is in the bottom left. 21k bits. You know, that's just 2 or 3 cookies worth of bits, you know, most people can probably save up for that, if not you can buy it off the AH. Anyway, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. How much better, or how does this strider fishing method compare to Bayou fishing in terms of XP? Well, that's what we're going to find out. I'm going to be using the exact same setup. I'm going to fish for 30 minutes in the Bayou and 30 minutes fishing for striders in Galatea. Now, of course, the only variable is the fishing rod that we're using. So this is the rod that we're using in the Bayou, and this is the rod that we're using in Galatea. This rod doesn't have gemstones equipped, so probably take that into consideration. This has the Lucky Reforge on it. This one has the Trashy Reforge on it. Come to think of it, do we have an extra... No, we don't have an extra Reforge stone. So that's something to consider as well. So with the Lava Fishing Rod in Galatea, we get 130 fishing speed and 51.83% sea creature chance. We'll be using fish bait for both fishing, which is going to give us 45 fishing speed per. Anyway, in the Bayou with our Rod of the Sea, we're getting 165 fishing speed and 69.53 sea creature chance. So our stats are, you know, by default substantially better in the Bayou because our Rod of the Sea simply is better than our starter lava rod. Anyway, let's do it. I'm going to start with fishing in Bayou. We're going to go for half an hour. Our current fishing XP is 407.4 out of 700k, and we'll see how much XP we gain in half an hour. Okay, so this is how I'm sort of fishing. I'm sat in the water, which we can do because we're in Diver's Armor. I'm fishing up whatever we get. It's not really a good example considering I didn't actually fish up a sea creature, but I'm switching to my Spirit Scepter, right-clicking straight down at the floor, and that kind of does the job because most of these mobs don't have a lot of health. And unfortunately, you don't gain fishing XP for killing other people's fishing mobs, other people's sea creatures. That was fixed quite a while ago and made fishing much, much quicker, you know, and basically you're able to be carried, but that's not the case anymore. But yeah, this is sort of what we're doing. It's straightforward, it's easy, but you just have to be aware that, you know, to kind of gain maximum buffs, you need to be pretty on top of the hotspots changing, you know. For me, sea creature chance and fishing speed is probably the most important buffs to be getting. Once you have max, of course, then you probably focus on other things. Yeah, I completely forgot to say as well, this will be important. My fishing wisdom is 73.3. Yours might be different. Okay, so that's 30 minutes of fishing in the Bayou done. And in total, we gain 79,792 XP. If we times that by 2, that works out at 159,584 XP per hour. It took us from about 80% of the way from 24 to 25 to 92.5, so it gave us like, what, 12 to 12.5% of a fishing level at fishing 24, which doesn't really matter. The XP is more what matters. Alright, well now we're on Galatea, and it's time to do the same 30 minutes of fishing, but this time using our lava rod against the striders. Now, sometimes you'll find people that are already fishing here. Majority of the time, you won't find them. But sometimes there are people that do know about this method and do fish here. Just lobby hop, because it doesn't work trying to fish at the same time with somebody else. Okay, so yeah, before starting, we're on 647, 199 fishing XP. Let's do half an hour. And yeah, let's see how much XP we gain. I will say that once you've got a few of these fished up, they make a horrendous noise. It's ear piercing. Honestly, I probably should just turn master volume down, but then I'm not alerted when I'm fish something up, if you know what I'm saying. It does help. It's piercing, but at the same time, you literally don't have to move. You just have to click. So it's a lot less effort until you have to kill them, and then even so. But anyway, now it's time to kill them. It's just a case of spamming them. They'll teleport out. You know, they'll teleport out in waves almost, because they don't teleport out unless you aggro them and actually hit them. But they do give a decent amount of XP. Like, I can already tell this is going to be good. Well, it's been another 30 minutes. We've killed a lot of striders. Let's see how much XP we gained. Okay, so we leveled our fishing up. So we're fishing 25 with 67.9k XP. And when I look at how much we gained previously in the previous fishing level, in 30 minutes we gained 120,724 XP. And for an hourly rate, that's 241,448 XP. So what this means is over one singular hour, strider fishing gains 81.8k more XP than Bayou fishing, which is actually really substantial. And to be honest, what really matters is if we calculate the percentage change, it turns out that strider fishing in Galatea means that you gain 51.2% more XP than you do from Bayou fishing. Now, I will say, this isn't an exact science. I'm doing this on an Iron Man profile, so, you know, the gear that I'm using for both, for instance, my water rod and my lava rod, are not completely equal. So there is going to be some discrepancy. You know, on the conservative side, you could say 45% more XP. You know, and you could go the other way and say 55. I'd say 50%-ish is probably around about right. Now, in my opinion, even with the Bayou, early game fishing, getting to fishing 27 is one of the most painfully boring things to do. It's so monotonous. Yeah, I don't know. There's just something about it that is just brain dead. But to find something that's going to make it 50%-ish more efficient is just nice. And sure, this is not some sort of new, undiscovered method. People have been fishing up these striders for a while. But I thought for those people who don't know, to make that fishing a little bit less painful early game, you know, here's the video. But anyway, that's all for today. If you did enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.